Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. We've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon. Let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from LA. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. Guys, good morning over there.
Good morning, Jenny.
We are about to delve into some extremely interesting topics.
Very interesting and very difficult to talk about.
Yeah, well said.
Difficult to talk about, important to talk about, and we're going to do our best here today on Undisputed. And we begin with the latest surrounding LeBron James. After learning more details about the Ma'Khia Bryant shooting in Columbus, Ohio, LeBron apologized yesterday after posting a photo of the officer involved with the caption that read, "You're next." According to reports and body cam footage that was released, Bryant was charging another woman with a knife before the fatal shooting. LeBron's apology read, quote, "Anger does none of us any good, and that includes myself. Gathering all the facts and educating does, though. My anger still is here for what happened to that little girl. My sympathy for her family, and may justice prevail." Shannon, was LeBron's initial tweet out of bounds?
He was right to take it down. Skip, right now, America, especially Black America, is in a heightened sense. We got to be careful, though, that every time a police shooting and it involves a Black, that we put them all into George Floyd. We put them all into Dante Price. I think his name is Dante Price, the young man that was shot in the back. The lady thought she was using a taser. We got to be careful not to lump all of these in one case, and we're going to have to look at it and take it on a case-by-case basis. Yep. I think LeBron maybe was a little premature because the information is that a 17-year-old was 17-year-old was shot, and she didn't have anything. And come to find out, we see what transpired, and that's a lot different than George Floyd. That's a lot different than the young man that was shot in the back. So we got to be careful. Also, LeBron, he made I think, an even bigger mistake, Skip, is by putting the officer's picture up, because it left to interpretation by what he said. Oh, he's next. And so now the people that didn't like that you're speaking out, doesn't like what you have to say see, I told you. And Skip, as I was sitting there and I was thinking about this and I knew we were going to talk about this, I said, you know what? It dawned on me. This is why Michael Jordan never touched this. This is the very reasons why. He said, you know what, Skip? I would rather say nothing and have people say, well, Mike, I wish you do this, or Mike, I wish you do that, as opposed to saying something and then get skewed for it. Mm-hmm. LeBron has to know, he has to be very, very careful, because LeBron's words carry weight. And he left to interpretation. Is he really putting a picture of this officer up saying he's next? That was left to interpretation. I don't believe that's what LeBron meant, but that's what's left to interpretation. And Skip, when you and I talk, you know exactly where we stand. Sometimes tweets, sometimes picture doesn't tell the whole story of what a person is trying to convey. That's what I love about this show. We have 2.5 hours, and we get an opportunity. There is no middle ground. There is no misunderstanding where Shannon Sharp or Skip Bayless stand on a particular topic, because we've had an opportunity to lay out what we want to say and how we want to say it. I just think the thing is that, Skip, because America is on the edge right now, and we might have jumped the gun. And I don't think LeBron was the only one that jumped the gun. I mentioned it yesterday when I was talking about Derek Chauvin guilty. But once you see the footage and you're like, okay, that's a very different situation than George Floyd. Now, I get some people are going to say, it's funny how the officers show discretion and restraint in certain situations when the roles are reversed. When, say the victim, this young lady, Ma'Khia Bryant, is a victim now, when she's Black. And we've seen white, say, well, swinging knives and doing things and everything. They talk to him and they do all they can to just de-escalate the situation. But I just think the thing was LeBron was on edge, considering what just happened with the George Floyd situation. And you hear in his home, Skip, he's from Ohio. I think this is in Columbus. Mm-hmm. So not right around the corner from Cleveland, but it's still, it's his home, neck of the woods. And I think the bigger mistake was putting the officer's picture up, and then because he left to interpretation, and that's what you don't want to have happen. You don't want people to speculate what you mean. And those that do not like LeBron and were waiting for this opportunity to pounce, he gave them that opportunity.
Okay. It's pretty clear to me that LeBron, in this case, leaped before he looked closely at what had happened. I'm not going to criticize him for it. I'm definitely not going to condemn him for it because of what you just provided in the way of context. Right. Emotions are running hot and high right now. The irony is, this incident took place about a half hour before we all heard the verdict from Minneapolis on Derek Chauvin.
Correct.
Which is almost mind-bogglingly incomprehensible to me in the first place. But it did happen because life goes on.
It was just like, Skip, I said the guy's name was Deontay Price. Is Deontay's right. Deontay Wright. And remember, he died. The trial was just going on with Derek Chauvin. It was 10 miles away. So you're dealing with that. You have this, and then you have this young lady on top of that.
So, obviously, LeBron caught up in the runaway emotions that everybody in this country is feeling on different levels.
Correct.
But he at the highest level.
Correct.
He overreacted, as millions of people do on a daily basis on these social mediums.
Correct.
They can be incredibly dangerous. We've all been victims of, we've all gone wrong on social media, where even if I can take it down to the almost irrelevant game tweets that we all do. Every once in a while you tweet something on the fly in the middle of a game, and then you find out after the game, oh, it was that way. I didn't know that. Well, how can you know? You're tweeting in the heat of the moment.
Exactly.
So we've all been guilty of that.
Correct.
Obviously, LeBron James has the most powerful platform in all of sports, and you can argue one of the most powerful platforms in the world.
Correct.
And he has done nothing but great when it comes to social justice, racial justice, campaigning, using his social platforms.
Correct.
He has 49.6 million Twitter followers.
Right.
He has 82.5 million Instagram followers. This was a tweet followed by a couple of more tweets. Obviously, along with that great power comes even greater responsibility. And he's still a very young man, and this is all new to him. So he'll learn a small lesson here as he goes forward that, okay, I got to look before I leap. I got to make sure what I'm talking about.
And LeBron is very good about this, Skip. He's very, very calculated, because there have been times that people have asked him to step out. He says, I don't know enough about it. He says, I'll read up on it, and I'll get back to you on this situation. So he's normally very, very calculated, very methodical before he does something like this. But like you said, Skip, with the tension, and I think the biggest thing for a black American is that we're just tired of seeing people that look like us dying in the streets at the hand of the police.
Totally understand and appreciate that. And in LeBron's defense, I watched post-game interviews last night in which Chris Paul and Bam Adebayo both brought up, is it Makia or Makai? I don't know. They said Makia. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but whichever. Forgive me for that. But,
thank you.
But they both brought her up, and they were both outraged, as LeBron was outraged. And I'm assuming they didn't know all the details at that point, but they were extending their sympathy to the family, which still applies, obviously, no matter what happened. Okay.
I think, because the thing, Skip, you look at it, she's still like, she's a child.
She's 16.
She's a child.
Okay. So I do not want to attempt to try this case in the court of public opinion, but let's try to walk through it, because we did get to see the body camera video.
Correct.
And I'm assuming you watched it.
I have seen it.
Okay, so the white officer, they get a 911 call, and reportedly, according, I believe, to her mom, she was the one who called 911 because she felt she was under threat.
Right, she was being threatened by
some other women.
Older girls in the place.
And she lives in a foster home, and she said that other older girls / women at the foster home were threatening her.
Correct.
Somehow this all adjourned out into this driveway.
Right.
And it's a large group of people in the driveway. So the white officer pulls up on the fly, and he leaps out. You can see him running.
Right.
And he yells, "What's going on here?" And just as he yells that, she But she is brandishing the knife at one woman who stumbles and falls backward, and a man runs into the body cam video and kicks her while she's down on the fly, which is probably pretty shocking to the cop. Like, what is going on?
Right.
Then Ms. Bryant then wheels on another woman who's sort of pinned up against the car.
Correct.
And appears to go to stab her with this knife.
Right.
She does clearly have a knife in her hand. And the officer yells, "Get down, get down." I don't know how many times, maybe 3 times.
3 or 4, yes.
Just bam, bam, bam.
Right.
And then speaking of bam, 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 then he fires not 1 shot, 4 shots.
Right.
Which to me seems excessive, but I would not have wanted to be in that flashpoint decision moment that officer got thrust into.
Skip, you have to understand, he gets a call, and it's, okay, someone is being threatened. He pulls up. What's going on? Now, you got to understand now, when he arrives on the scene, he doesn't know anybody. He doesn't know her age. All he sees is what's going on, and he sees someone with a knife. Okay, his job is not only to protect himself, he has to protect everyday citizens also. So at that very moment, he must do his job, what's written on every police car, to protect and serve. He must protect those that might be in harm's way.
I'm getting chills talking about this because I would not have wanted to make that call.
No.
I wish to God that he could have used some kind of stun gun, some other kind of tactic to subdue her. But at that moment, let's do the opposite case. What if he waits and she stabs? And what if, let's do just the worst case scenario, what if she kills the other woman?
Then they're going to hold the police responsible because he should have done something. Because in that situation, he's damned if he do, damned if he doesn't. But the guy that came in and kicked the young lady, you should have been trying to defuse the situation and get the knife from Miss Bryant.
Okay.
I mean, the adults on the scene, you got to be the adults in this situation, and we can't expect children to act and behave like adults in a situation like this.
I got it. And yet I don't get it. I don't know how to stop this. I don't know what the right move would have been made. Then last night, I'm racking my brain thinking, what if the officer had been a black officer? Would he have reacted differently? Would he have felt for the scenario differently? Would he have been able to control it? Would they have listened to him? Would they have not have been as threatened as they were by the white officer giving everything this country has gone through for years and years?
Right. And maybe, Skip, maybe at that point, she was in such a mind state. Because, Skip, look, anybody that's ever been in a fight, you throw caution to the wind. Come on, bro, let that go. And you get to that point, Skip.
It's blind.
Yes,
it's either
rage.
Blind fear or rage, either one.
It's been built up so much. You know, you trying to hold a person back. It's something, they get a strength. I don't know if you tried to hold someone back when they're in a rage, but it's not as easy. Yeah, we can sit here and talk about, they should have just grabbed her. But it's not that easy. People get abnormal strength when they're in rage. They can do things that you don't think they can normally do. Like I said, he pulls up on the scene and he sees this chaotic scene. He jumps out, he asks, okay, what's going on? And someone appears with a knife. Now, he doesn't know the person with the knife called the police. He doesn't know. The dispatcher said, someone called a cop, there's a chaotic scene, yada, yada, yada. So he doesn't know what's going on. He just sees a person with a knife. So for all he knows, they called on her.
Correct. Okay, so then LeBron tweets the photo of the cop, and you're next, #accountability, and I love accountability, and then the hourglass, like the clock is ticking on you.
I know what he meant. I believe he says, okay, you see what happened to Derek Chauvin? Accountability. Now you're about to face accountability, the hourglass. But see, some people out of took it, LeBron put a hit onto this man, and the hourglass is running down. So you see, he left that up to interpretation. I believe he meant that you're going to have to go in front of 12 men and jury of your peers.
Okay.
And you're going to have to face accountability just like Derek Chauvin. That's what I believe he meant. But he left it up to interpretation. What if people don't interpret it like that?
In the end, it's why, as a white guy, I'm very hesitant on Twitter to tweet about race because it's just too few words. It's just,
exactly.
And
even if they give you 280 now, Skip, it's still not enough.
It's not enough.
You need 3,080.
I need 2.5 hours with my guy Shannon,
Right.
and I need to kick it around,
Right.
and I need to look at it this way
Right.
and that way, and
Right.
over here, and I need to hear you, and then I need to crystallize my thoughts. And it's much safer for me to do it on television, because even though some days we get forced to just, we have to leap before we really look carefully.
Skip, had he, and this is why, a lot of times you see people tweet their address and where the person, lives. And I'm not all for that. Let the person have a certain level of privacy. I get it. They've done some things, and we disappointed in that. If LeBron had tweeted a photo of the officer and says, you're next, and the hourglass, okay. But once he hashtag accountability, that's what was trending when Derek Chauvin got convicted, is accountability. We're going to start to hold these officers, we're going to start to hold them accountable for their negligent actions. And so that's what I believe he meant. But because some don't want to believe that, or he left it up to interpretation. Like I said, Skip, a person's perception is their reality. Their interpretation of what you mean is their reality. So they might have interpreted, oh, you put a hit out on the cop, LeBron, you got his picture up there talking about you next.
No, I got it. Obviously, Derek Chauvin was found guilty on all 3 counts, and in a couple of months, he will be sentenced, I hope, to prison for most of the rest of his life, if not all of. You don't think so?
No, the guidelines are too vague. The guidelines are he's going to get 12.5 to 15 years.
No, you think so?
Yeah.
Ooh,
yeah.
Boy, I don't.
With no prior history, I mean, you got to look at
that first count. The most serious count was his second degree, in what do they call it? Unintentional
murder. Basically, it's second-degree murder. Basically, it's a manslaughter charge. But, Skip, the thing is that they're going to run them concurrent. So all these will be served together.
That's a maximum of 40, and they said the DA will ask for 50.
Well, here it is, but it's up to the judge. The judge sets the sentencing. I mean, we got this, but the judge will set the sentencing guidelines. Now, he's going to argue upwards. He'll argue it upwards because of the grave, the disregard. He says that George Floyd was vulnerable. He says that, you're culpable for this. So they're going to try to move it up. But I believe, Skip, I'm saying somewhere between 12.5 and 15.
Ooh, boy, I hope you're not right.
I hope I'm not right also. But when you look at it, that's kind of that's normally where it goes to the sentencing guidelines.
Okay. Now, just for the record, I need to put this on the record that just on balance, there was another incident in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. I don't know if you followed this one.
I did.
And it was Andrew Brown. There was a search warrant issued. Sheriff's deputies went to his home. He had some drug charges and been convicted of one misdemeanor possession charge. So they go to search, and he flees and gets in his car and roars back out of the driveway, and they pull guns and shoot. And they killed him out in the street before he could take off.
Right.
And my problem with this is, once more, we see lethal force. I'm not saying there wasn't a reason to try to stop him because they had a search warrant.
Right.
I got that.
Right.
So by the letter of the law, he's breaking the law. But to me, how many times have we seen out here in Southern California a chase on the freeways?
All the time.
It goes like for 2 or 3 hours. It's fascinating to watch, but they're just waiting for him to run out of gas.
Run out of gas, right. Yes.
And they're not shooting on the freeway.
Right.
They're going to subdue him, usually with dogs. They're going to arrest him.
I think for me, in some Black America, Skip, it seems that lethal force is the first line of defense. There's no de-escalation. I mean, that I can see if the guy is, he wanted for 6 murders. I can see he wanted for 20 rapes.
Right.
Misdemeanor drug possession, drug charges, really?
Right.
And you fire into the vehicle for all that?
That's reason enough.
Yes.
To go lethal force.
Right.
Shoot to kill force.
Right. And we just saw, Skip, in Minnesota, the guy, he drugged the police officer 2 or 3 blocks.
Yep.
And they still take the man alive.
So I just wanted on balance to show that did happen also.
Yes.
So let's not undervalue this one as opposed to that one. They're all different. They all have very different circumstances. We know the George Floyd circumstances, and we're about to talk a little more about them in the perspective of Brett Favre next.
Right, and Dante Wright's situation. So, let's and I'm glad, Skip, the body cam, because for me, I'm glad the Columbus PD released the body cam footage. Because had they just, I wasn't going to take their word. I'm never taking police word for anything again. Because after what I saw what Derek Chauvin had wrote in his statement,
I agree.
He didn't write what he actually did. And they co-signed it. Those three stooges that were right alongside him, they co-signed what he did. I'm not taking their word for it.
Yep.
I'm going to need body cam footage, or I'm going to need, third eye footage.
And to your point, over the last, 100 years in this country,
yes,
how many of these incidents did we not know about because there was no footage?
Right. Oh, he had a medical emergency. Now, Skip, if that young lady, Darnella Frazier, does not take that video, Skip, Derek Chauvin is not going to jail.
Nope.
You're going to take, he had a medical emergency. Plus, he had fentanyl. He had some drugs in his system.
Remember, did they have body cam?
Yeah,
video?
but it didn't pick that. It somehow had managed to not pick that up.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
No doubt emotions are running very high in our country right now.
No mercy.
Well, Brett Favre said yesterday on his podcast that, quote, I find it hard to believe, and I'm not defending Derek Chauvin in any way, I find it hard to believe, first of all, that he intentionally meant to kill George Floyd. That being said, his actions were uncalled for. So, Shannon, what is your reaction to what Brett Favre said here?
Brett Favre is the very people that he said that sports and politics, because he has no idea what he's talking about. And this is why they charged him. But let me explain something to you.
On what you just said, he's part of the sports power structure that shouldn't speak out.
Yeah,
right?
because
it's the ones he criticizes.
Yes, and he constantly is involved.
He's the biggest example of somebody who shouldn't be speaking. Okay,
because he doesn't understand the law.
Yeah.
He says murder the guy. Okay. They didn't charge him with first-degree murder. And not to get all complicated, they didn't say he left his house. It was premeditated.
No premeditation.
It was planned.
Right. Okay.
It was forethought.
Okay.
It was, no, that's not what they said. They charged him with third-degree, Skip. Do you understand? And I've said this before. The difference between murder and manslaughter only matters to the defendant. The victim is just as dead. Whether Derek Chauvin meant to or not, what was the outcome that George Floyd suffered? Death. It doesn't matter that he didn't mean to. That's why they charged him. He committed an act that he should have known would have taken this man's life. That's what they charged him with.
Yep.
It's as simple as that. Skip, whether you intend to, ignorance of the law is not an excuse to break the law. Skip, I didn't know you couldn't park in front of a fire hydrant. It's a law, whether you knew it or not. There's a lot of laws on the books that people, normal, everyday citizens don't know. But if you break them, they will charge you with. You can't use ignorance. The courts have said you can't use ignorance of a law as an excuse to break the law. Derek Chauvin kneeled on a man's neck. Even a healthy man, Michael Phelps, the greatest swimmer, who is a fish, could not have held his breath for that length of time with his knee on his neck. So so for Brett to say...
What was it, 9.5
9 minutes and 29 seconds. 4 minutes after he had lost consciousness and was no longer breathing, another 4 minutes. And for Brett Favre to say, well, you can't convince me he intentionally did it. Brett, that doesn't matter. He did it. Intent only matters to him. Because if he had intentionally done it, he'd have got life. But because he didn't, he committed an act that he should have known was dangerous, that could result in a person's death. That's why they charged him with the charge that they gave him, Skip, which is a third-degree murder. Basically, it's a manslaughter charge. It's the killing of a person by another without intent. That's what they charged him with.
It's called unintentional murder.
Thank you, Skip. But you know what? But see, that's the height. Because for such a long time, whites have told black when they've committed an act against you, we didn't mean to do it. We didn't even know. We're sorry. Okay, he said he was sorry. No, but let me tell you what white privilege is. White privilege is when you receive over $1 million from a fund from temporary assistance for the needy, for speeches you're supposed to give, and you don't give those.
You're speaking of one...
Oh, that Brett Favre.
Brett Favre.
That's the privilege. Because let me tell you what happened. Now, if I'm not mistaken, if I look at this, if you receive a service and you don't render the service, that would be considered fraud. Now, I wonder, $1 million. Skip, if you defraud the IRS, you know they would say, okay, you just pay it back and no harm, no foul. That's what Brett Favre did. And he told me he don't understand. You understand full well what's going on in America. You always have. Being from Mississippi, it's never lost. It's never left. So for him to say what he said, because Derek Chauvin didn't intentionally do it, George Floyd's just as dead. He's just as dead, Skip. Man, Brett, something's wrong with Brett. I mean, there's something wrong with he done bumped his head or something, because to say this.
I don't think there's anything wrong with Brett. The times I've been around him, I found him to be a shrewd operator. He's not stupid. And the biggest picture here, he knows exactly what he's doing. He's playing to
that choir,
a right-wing choir, his choir, right? And yet, this was classic.
Well, actually, not the choir, Skip. That's the pulpit.
Okay.
The congregation. He gave that to the congregation.
Okay.
The congregation that's listening to that, he's like, you right, Brett. You right.
Okay. This was classic denial when he said, I find it hard to believe, and I'm not defending Derek Chauvin in any way. I find it hard to believe, first of all, that he intentionally meant to kill George Floyd. Well, that's classic speaking out of both sides of your mouth, because he is defending Derek Chauvin, right?
Yeah.
He just is. Okay, so here's the point about this. It was clear as broken glass to anybody who watched that video that Derek Chauvin did not care whether George Floyd died, right?
Hence the deprived mind.
Right? So it's actually intentional, unintentional murder.
Correct.
Right? That's what happened.
Right.
It's intentional because he does not care about the man's life. And he knows deep in the depths of his warped psyche, he knows that if he keeps the knee down long enough and the man has said, I can't breathe.
Right.
That he just might die.
Right.
So maybe there's no premeditation, but there's no remorse about what's happening here. There's no fear about, I might kill this guy. No, he did not care whether he died or not. And if he did die, that was fine with Derek Chauvin at that moment, because he reeked of arrogance and smugness, and I am the law, which means I'm above the law.
Skip, the act wasn't. So you mean to tell me he didn't intentionally put his knee in the man's neck? Now, this is where the murder charge didn't come in and the manslaughter did, because the man died. You intentionally put your knee in the man's neck. You should have known that act in and of itself could lead to death. That's what when you charge, the articles say.
Right.
So the act, what he did, Skip, was intentional. He intentionally put his knee in that man's neck, which he should have known would have led to death.
Correct. So this is the same Brett Favre who recently, and we obviously talked about this right here on this show, but he recently said that he wanted all politics out of sports because even he can't watch pro football anymore because there are too many political statements being made during and around games. And yet he's the first to say, as he said on the podcast, I just gave my opinion. I'm certainly not a racist in spite of what some people might think. And, you know, I'm for unity, and I feel like there's just a better way to unify our country.
Let me tell you how you unify the country. Get rid of racism. Treat everybody equal. And and people will come together.
Okay, so once again, this is classic both sides of your mouth, because he's saying, I am not a racist. But he's indicated he is sick and tired of all these black people and all these black athletes protesting in the venues of sports, in the confines of sports.
But Skip, you just read, he said it's just his opinion. So he's entitled to his opinion, but the black athlete's not entitled to their opinion.
All right, there you go. But again, he knows who's really listening to him, that he cares about.
Yeah, the radio show that he's on, absolutely.
Okay, so I get where he's going, but why would he even need to bring this up? he knows that this country has just been at this flashpoint.
Yes.
The emotions that we just talked about with LeBron running so hot and so high, and he steps right into the middle of them and says, I find it hard to believe, and I'm not defending Derek Chauvin in any way, I find it hard to believe that he intentionally meant to kill George Floyd. Well, why? What good does it do to even make that statement yesterday?
Zero.
He was just found guilty on all three counts.
After 10 hours, and it shouldn't have took 10 hours.
I agree.
Because all you do is watch the video, and the prosecution laid out an excellent case. They didn't overcharge.
But
a lot of times,
as juries go, that was pretty quick decision.
Yeah, but Skip, if you think about it, they didn't overcharge him. Because a lot of times, Skip, they overcharge first-degree murder, knowing that you're not going to get a first degree because you got to prove malice. You got to prove forethought.
Yeah.
You know what? You know what today I'm going to do? I'm going to kill Mel Black. Come on, Skip.
Yeah.
You know you got to go get no murder charge. They charged him the exact, because you know what? We can get this. That was an intentional act that he should have known that would lead to this. This is why in the manual, Skip, the guy's in a prone position. How many people sleep on their stomach? You can't sleep on your stomach for an extended period of time because the diaphragm has to rise and fall. And now imagine if your arms are behind your back. Try sleeping with your arms behind your back for any length of time and let me know how that worked out for you.
Brett Favre is just fortunate that as we speak, he's not still a starting quarterback in the National Football League, because these are the kinds of comments that would make it very sticky for him in a locker room right now that is, what 75% black?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like you said, Skip, given what just happened, the verdict had just come down, why would you feel the need to say, I find it hard to believe that he intentionally did this? Intent only matters to him. Skip, what is George Floyd's fate? Death. Skip, I shoot somebody 10 times. Man, I ain't mean to kill him. What the hell you think was going to happen if you shoot somebody 10 times?
Yeah. To me, it's Brett's subliminal message to his crowd.
Exactly.
I got your back here.
Yes.
Okay.
He do all that. Well, I'm not a racist. Nah, but the behavior that they exhibit, you don't have a problem with. And I'm tired of Skip. Talk this. You know, we try to unify the country. Y'all ain't never tried to unify the country. Y'all ain't never. Because guess what, Skip? Sports, they came together to watch sports even when blacks weren't playing. So don't be telling me, oh, it brought everybody together. No, we couldn't watch in the venue that you watched it.
And I told you yesterday, if LeBron and Colin Kaepernick hadn't used their platforms to speak out, I'm not sure Derek Chauvin would have been found guilty on all three counts. Yeah. I think that had direct, powerful impact on that jury. And
Skip, and it was right, man, and I've never seen anything like this. Joy, and you say, I think this is going to be different. You said this might be a watershed moment. It might, you hear them talking about doing away with qualified immunity. You hear them talking about maybe holding the police department. You can sue police departments. Yeah. Well, now somebody does something wrong. Do you still want it? But I believe this is what you do, Skip. Can you practice medicine without having insurance, medical insurance? Make a police officer make him take out insurance. See, that's what we're going to do. We're going to make you take out insurance because if you can take somebody, doctor can take your life. So we're going to hold you responsible for malpractice.
Oh, okay.
Well, police officers. Okay, we bankrupt those police departments. How many times can they keep paying 27, 30? Because it's only going up. I mean, it used to be somebody got $500,000 for a death. Yeah. Now it's $27 million. So it's only going up. Pretty soon, you're going to either conform or you're going to be out of business.
Well, at least we're having this conversation, because there was a time 20, 30 years ago, nobody had this conversation on television like we are.
And, man, Skip, can you believe Brett Favre?
Yep, I can.
Okay.
I think he's showing you who he is and always was.
Yes. Did a great job of hiding it.
Boy, okay. I'm having a hard time understanding the Brett Favre stuff and why he was
we understand
these statements. I understand it. I'm still surprised by it. I'm going to leave it there. There have been a lot of reactions and a lot of people sharing their opinions after the verdict, including, we talked about yesterday, the tweet from the Raiders. So here is the latest. George Floyd's brother issued a statement supporting the Raiders yesterday after the team received backlash for their I Can Breathe tweet following the guilty conviction of Derek Chauvin. The statement read in part, on behalf of our family, I would like to extend our deepest gratitude to the Las Vegas Raiders organization and its leadership for their support of our family and for our nation's ongoing pursuit of justice and equality for all. Now, more than ever, we must come together as one and continue on in this fight. So, Shannon, did George Floyd's brother's statement change your opinion on Mark Davis's "I can breathe" tweet?
I still believe it was wrong and insensitive. I wish he had quoted George's brother for what he said. We can finally breathe again. Not "I can breathe," because that's not what Philinay said. That's not what he said. So normally if you quote somebody, you quote them verbatim and you leave nothing to interpretation. But Skip, if the family says we've moved on, I'm fine with that. But I believe this is what's happening. Instead of getting into a back and forth and taking the focus off of my brother and what just this historic moment that just transpired, I'm not going to get into it with an NFL owner. That's not the fight that we want to have. That's not the fight that we choose to have at this moment. There's a time and a place for everything. Hey, I'm going to be, Skip, I'm going to be, I'm going to be I'm going to rise above this. I'm going to say, you know what? I appreciate them for their support. Because right now, it's not about the Floyd family versus the Raiders and a tweet. This is about the Floyd family trying to get justice, not only get justice and accountability for my brother, but moving forward, this would be the standard. This would be the norm, not an anomaly. And so I believe this is where they are. Skip, I'm not going to fight with an NFL owner. I'm not. That's because that's not the fight that I want to have. I'm not going to take the focus off what the focus should be on, which is right here, which is justice for reform. And that's what we want. So for me to go back and forth, well, I wish he hadn't said it. Now the story, George is, no. We're going to keep the focus on George. This is not about my family and an NFL owner. This is about George Floyd. This is about accountability, not just for George, but for others to come. And maybe some that happened before George, because there are a lot of George Floyd, but for whatever reason, the George Floyd resonated with America unlike any other case before that. And so I'm glad they took the high road. Hey, because that's not the fight I want to have.
Okay. So to your point about picking your battles.
Yes.
One way to decide not to pick this battle, to fire back, would have been just to ignore.
Right.
Just let it go.
Right.
But no, they chose, as you just said, to go complete high road. That they went to the highest road, did the Floyd family, starting with the younger brother.
Right.
And this was a beautiful statement that they made because they want to extend their deepest gratitude. This, for me, was classic sort of killing with kindness.
Right.
It's turning the other cheek,
if
I can go a little New Testament, but it's killing with kindness because the brother's statement is gushing the other way, like, we appreciate your thought. It's like, we understand what you meant, even if between the lines.
It didn't come out.
Yeah. And it was about peace and love. And it was a beautiful sentiment to me, in which they look like the much bigger figures here than the owner of a pro football team that's worth, what, billions of dollars?
Yeah, and basically Phil is saying, the younger brother Phil is saying, our fight is not with you, the Raiders. It's not with you, Mark Davis. The fight is for America and the American justice system. And my brother got accountability. We want those to come after the George Floyd. We want the same accountability. And maybe we can go back and get some accountability from some of those others. So I commend him. I commend him for the way he handled it. And this family has handled this with nothing but class from day one. All they ever wanted was the person that was responsible for their brother's death, for their uncle, their nephew death, was accountability. The man that did this should be held responsible for this.
He should be punished, and I'm pretty sure he will be.
Yes.
Maybe we disagree on how punished he'll be.
But you know what, Skip? They got him secluded. Why they got that man secluded? Why did they just put him in jail and let him go? He's a police officer. He know all the tricks of the trade.
What did you say yesterday? He wouldn't last very long.
Hell no. You see how Skip? You see how tough they are with a badge and a gun? All them ones that's real tough with that badge and gun, put them in G-Pop. And then see. But they got to move him out of state. I promise you, he will not be in the state of Minnesota.
No, I got it.
The 12 and a half years, however long he spent, Skip, he could be in solitary because he's too high profile. He's what they call a high profile inmate.
I'd say.
And they make names. Ask Jeffrey Dahmer. Well, you see what they did to Jeffrey Dahmer?
I do.
When those guys, they're high profile like that,
I got it.
you got to keep them in solitary.
Okay. One last thought about Mark Davis's post. I'm so with you. It hasn't changed my my view of it at
Right.
all because it was just a bad idea.
Right.
And again, it was posted on the Raiders account. It just comes out of the blue. Who's I?
Yeah.
We didn't even know that it was from the top,
Right.
from the owner.
Right.
And to his credit, he did take full credit for it,
Yes.
ownership. But if he had a personal Twitter account, and to your point, if he had tweeted that as sort of a play off the family's tweet about
Right.
we can breathe, how did it go? Today we were able to breathe again.
Right.
If you wanted to display that thought from the family and then say, as the owner of the Las Vegas Raiders, I can breathe,
right.
then at least you can say, okay, I sort of get where he's going. But as I said yesterday, this was no time to be clever or look at me, look what I can do on social.
Or how about this, Skip? We can all breathe.
We can all breathe. It was because I can breathe.
Because that's what Phil said. Phil said we all can breathe again.
Because obviously Mark Davis, who inherited this team, has been a supremely privileged white man from birth, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so when he says, I can breathe, well, you've always been able to breathe.
Exactly.
You've been able to breathe better than anybody's been able to breathe, right?
Yeah,
Have you
exactly.
ever had any threat to stop your breathing?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
So it just doesn't work.
Right.
Like we both sort of get where he was trying to go with
right,
it,
right.
but it just didn't work.
Right.
And the family took him right off the hook.
Right. Because Skip, they're like, our fight is not with you.
Yeah.
We're not going to start, Skip, we're not going to start a battle that we don't need to be fighting. We're going to just keep our focus right here because you fight too many battles, you'll lose the main one that you're trying to win. So these little dust-ups over here, nah, we appreciate your gratitude. We appreciate the support that you showed for my brother and our family. So thank you very much to the Raiders organization. But we're going to keep, we got tunnel vision. You on the outside. You Skip, if I'm driving, I'm not worried about what's going on in the woods on either side. I just got to stay on I got to keep it right between the lines.
Yeah. God bless the Floyd family.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Boy, we can all agree that tweet was probably not the right move. But again, they definitely took the high road there in that situation. And if we've learned anything about social media, nothing is missed these days.
No mercy.
Kevin Durant got caught liking a fan's tweet yesterday that was trash-talking Steph Curry. The tweet said KD was the better player of the two while they were teammates on the Warriors and called Steph, quote, trash, along with saying that Curry needed to be joined by another MVP and 3 All-Stars to get the job done. So, Shannon, do you have a problem with KD liking this tweet?
Skip, I don't get it. I don't get it. Maybe he forgot he was on his actual account and it was going to be traced back to him. Maybe he thought he was on his burner account and no one would ever know. But why?
He did unlike it.
Yeah, it's too late.
Right.
It's too late, Skip. But does KD understand why they're bashing Steph, saying Steph needed you, KD, and 2 other All-Stars? KD, you realize you joined that team with a 2-time MVP and 2 other All-Stars? So how do you think that make you look? And then you turn around and go get Kyrie and ask the team to go get James Harden. So how do you think that makes you look? I don't care what anybody says. And Kevin Durant can get upset with me. Kevin Durant is upset that he's not beloved like LeBron James, that he's not beloved like Steph Curry, and he's never going to be. But that's okay. It does not take away from his greatness. Skip, Charles Barkley wasn't beloved. In the 80s, there was really Jordan, there was Magic and Larry. They were beloved. And then here comes Michael. Basically, in the 80s, that was it. Because Dr. J soon retired.
Yeah, I was going to say Dr. J, but he was somewhere.
Yeah, he was on the tail end. Skip, it's okay that you're not beloved. I'm not so sure that is Tom Brady as beloved as Peyton Manning? I don't know, Skip.
I don't think so.
But Tom don't care. He's not going to be liking tweets. I don't get KD. It's okay that you're not as beloved as LeBron, that you're not as beloved as Steph, but you're a great player. Why do you need to do this? And you wonder why. People look at you. They're thinking you dapping everybody up and everybody before the game, and they're looking at you, bro, you're a weasel. You're really a snake. Because when you don't think anybody is watching, ain't no telling how many counts he got that when somebody tweets something derogatory about LeBron or this one or that one, hell, it might be him. That's the thing. I don't get this. As great as Kevin Durant is, he's an MVP. He's a 2-time Finals MVP. And you got to take a shot at Steph Curry, the man that welcomed you with open arms. He driving a Ferrari. He gets out, let you drive and sits on the passenger side, and you take a shot at him. Why? Because KD don't like him. KD don't like KD. This is all about KD. This ain't got nothing to do with anything else until KD fixed the issue and stop worrying about whether he says he doesn't bother him if he's not like, he's lying. He's lying. There's no way you take shots at a man like Steph Curry. You take a shot at LeBron. Skip, you say LeBron is too nice.
I do.
Man, yep. KD, you out of pocket for this, bro. You just really need to grow up. I don't know. You need to find an identity. You need to find who you are. And it's okay to go talk to somebody about this, but this is not normal behavior for a superstar. It's not. I don't care what anybody says. This is not normal behavior.
All right. Just to reiterate, obviously, from this side of the table, he is beloved by me. I still think he's the best player on the planet. I haven't seen a whole lot of him this year, and that may be the point of this. He's got a little too much time on his hands, right?
Yes.
But the part about him I don't understand is, as much as I've loved him since he was at the University of Texas, he is by far the thinnest skinned superstar I have ever closely observed. It ain't even close. He is not happy unless he's unhappy in the middle of some beef with somebody. It might be you. It might be our guy, Michael Rappaport. It might be anybody on Twitter from a burner account.
Right.
He needs to beef with somebody. He needs to go back and forth and defend himself because it seems to fuel him on the basketball court, which I cannot believe. I thought he would, or potentially would, crumble under the pressure he inflicted on himself when he left Russell Westbrook, who was more beloved in Oklahoma City than Kevin was.
Yes.
He left Russell and joined forces with a team that had gone 73-9.
Right.
And I thought, how's he going to live up to this kind of pressure if they get back to the finals? Well, as you know, they did. And as you know, they got back to 2 straight finals. And what did he do? He lived right up to the pressure. He shrugged it off and rose, and he shone, and he won back-to-back finals MVPs. And I was in awe of that. Seriously, that's a lot of heat on one man.
Yeah.
The sports world, not just the NBA world, the sports world was waiting for Kevin Durant to fall on his face in the first finals. Nope, didn't happen.
Right.
So my point is, he's such a great player. He is such a great scorer. I've never seen anything like this 7-foot monster who can just shoot. He, as Iguodala once said, he can hezzy pull up from like 30 and just rip it.
He can, yes.
We haven't seen this before. He's a long 7-footer. He can play defense. He can do it all.
Right.
Why do you need burner accounts? Why do you need to fire back at some guy? I don't know who this guy is. By the way, when he said, ain't no way Katie just liked my tweet and for saying Curry is trash, and he did tag you and he tagged me, he's tagged Steph and other people in the media, so at least we got pulled in.
And then Katie gonna say that wasn't him. Katie gonna say, when did I like that tweet, Shannon? When did I like that tweet? You know what he does? He says stuff, but when did I say that? Or when did I do that? Man, Skip, why?
I don't know. It's this weird, you want to say it's insecurity, but yet
it is.
But it doesn't bother him when he steps onto a basketball court. Does he look insecure on a basketball court?
But that's the thing, Skip. He spends more time alone than he does the basketball court.
He does.
So it's the insecurity of his own self. He's fighting that. That's what it is, Skip. If you don't love you, if you got a problem with you, you're going to lash out at other people. Steph Curry never did anything, never said anything bad about KD. And this is it. Skip, let me tell you something. I did an autograph signing about 2 weeks ago. It's only my third one in about 17 years. I don't do them that often. And, people want me to sign things. They want me to sign back-to-back champ, 3-time Super Bowl champ, Hall of Fame, yada, yada, yada. Club Shay Shay, my favorite uncle. One guy had a special request. Now, remind you, Skip, I get paid by the script. So if you want Shannon Sharp, that costs. You want HOF, that costs. You want something special, that costs. So Skip, hey, how about you want what you want? You want my date of birth? I'll sign that too. That gonna cost. Skip. But this guy had a special request. He wanted me to sign something. Skip knows nothing. I got to. I said, man, I ain't signing that.
I love that, actually.
No, Skip. I got to. I say, I ain't signing that. I say, all this, the club Shay Shay is a podcast. You know how that came to be? Skip. Shannon on Undisputed. You know how that came about? Skip. I said, what the heck? I said, bro, y'all want me to bite the hand. Y'all want me to say something negative about the man that gave me this opportunity.
But it's tongue-in-cheek. It's just,
yeah,
okay, I got it.
But see.
It wouldn't have bothered me, but I appreciate that. I'm honored you would
because guess what,
say
Skip?
no.
Somebody going to put that up. People going to take pictures. And it's innocent. No.
It's just trash talking.
Right, exactly. Okay. No. I said, no, bro, I'm not going to do that. It's like, okay, what do you... I said, he don't know more. He don't know as much than me, but he know a lot.
There you go. Right.
But Skip, why? I need somebody to tell me, oh, Lord, this man took a shot at Steph Curry. Skip, little 6'3", 80-pound Steph Curry.
Okay. Now, back to the tweet that he did like, that Kevin liked.
When did he like it? That's what he's going to ask next. When did he like it?
Okay, I'm going to read it one more time.
Okay.
Because I believe heart and soul in every point that got made by whoever this guy is. This is his 15 minutes of fame, or 15 seconds. Kevin Durant was better than Steph Curry both those years. Then he's got laugh cries. Everybody knows it, bro. Don't try and kid yourself. This, you know what, Curry needed another MVP and 3 All-Stars to get the job done. I buy into that.
Yes.
I don't know why Kevin had to like it, but that's what Kevin showed you. That's his heart on this. That's what he believes also.
Yes.
There is much truth to what this man typed in a tweet.
Yes.
Because you know, and I'm going to say it one more time, Steph Curry was a disaster in games 5, 6, and 7. They had a 3-1 lead, and I dare anybody just go look at the numbers. He shot 25% from 3 in those last 3 games. He was abysmal from the field in those 3 games. In those 3 games, he had only 7 assists to 12 turnovers. In the fourth quarter of Game 7, as you well know, he was 1 of 6 from the field and 1 of 5 from 3. It just wasn't good enough. And remember, 2 of those 3 games were at home in his house.
Skip. Okay.
So then what happened? You always bring up the fact Draymond flees into the parking lot after the game. He just crying crocodile tears and called Kevin on his cell phone and said, "We need you, bro."
Right.
Then it was Steph who led the contingent to the Hamptons, way out on the end of Long Island, in July of that year to recruit Kevin Durant. Well, you said it. He pulled up in the Ferrari and he got out and walked around to the passenger side and got in and said, "Here, you drive." He did.
And guess what, Skip? That confirms my point.
Okay.
Kevin Durant want to be loved. He want to be wanted. Golden State, after 73-9, they wanted KD.
They needed KD.
But Skip, what does that say about you? You just had them down. Go back and look at games 5, 6, and 7 in the Western Conference Final. Look at what KD shot. Steph Curry, all I know is Steph Curry won 2 MVPs before Kevin Durant ever came to Golden State. Steph Curry went to 2 finals before Kevin Durant ever came to Golden State. He won 1.
He did.
Now, Kevin Durant's going to have to win 1 without Steph Curry. Steph Curry's won 1 without Kevin Durant. So that's what we do know. I'm not saying that KD isn't a better player, but you can be a better player and not be as liked and be okay with that. But it seems to me he wants to be the better player, the more liked player, and that's just not going to happen. That's just, for whatever reason, Skip, for whatever reason, maybe because Steph is more of a common man.
Yeah.
You see a guy, he's like, he's a little taller than average, but he's not 7 foot. Man, I mean, he's just like all of it. He married, got a wife. They be posting, they be cooking, got 3 kids. I mean, he's just like all of it. And people resonate to that. LeBron, married, childhood sweetheart, 3 kids. They be posting, going on vacation. She the queen, backbone, holding it down.
I got it.
For whatever reasons.
You're right.
KD, that's okay. It's okay. But KD got a problem with KD. Nobody can convince me otherwise. Or why would you take a shot? Skip, they say the man trash. They say Steph Curry trash. You like that. Forget, like, hey, I'm a better player. Okay, somebody says, okay, I'm a better player than the other player. Okay, yeah, I like that. But to say the Steph Curry trash, Steph Curry is not trash. Not even close. Steph, when it's all said and done, I'm not so sure that Steph Curry is not going to be the better player. Now, KD, you're going to have to get on his guard because Steph Curry changed the game forever. Forever. They talking about adding a 4-point shot, Skip.
Okay, I got it. But the truth is, as we talked about, what it was, 3 days ago, in the postseason, in the biggest moments, Steph has come up even smaller than he is at about 6 feet 3 inches tall. So I don't think he will end up being the better player than Kevin, because Kevin has back-to-back finals MVPs.
Yeah, Skip, I get it. If you want to look at the second NBA Finals, game 5, 6, and 7, that's fine. But you're going to have to look at the Western Conference Final. Look at how far Steph has taken teams. Kevin Durant joined with Kyrie and James Harden. So I don't know. I mean, how great if you keep needing to be the best, get the best player, getting MVP. Mm-hmm. You got James Harden, who's the MVP, finished second 3 times. You got Kyrie, one of the top players.
Okay. What you're saying is playing the part, the role of the unloved underdog is unhealthy for Kevin.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
Yes.
I'm not sure about that, because it's the weirdest phenomenon. It seems to drive him.
Yeah, but Skip, it makes you lash out people that helped you. Like I said, the call Steph trash. Okay, if you want to say I'm the better player,
he didn't, but he liked it.
Yes. Yeah. So basically, you saying that yes, I co-signed that, bro.
Yeah.
I like
the last 2 words.
I like what you're saying.
The last 2 words in the tweet he liked. Forgive me for saying these words, but trash ass. That's what he called him.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty strong. And he put a big heart like on that, right?
But why? Okay. But why, Skip? Why?
Because he believes that.
Yes.
That's what he believes.
I believe. But Skip, for you to say that, Skip, you joined him. If he was so trash, you know what? Why would you go join him? Why would you go link up with a trash A player? Why would you go link up with them? Why would you need James? So I don't get it. This is on him.
I know what Kevin decided. He was entering year 10, and he'd been, in his mind, stuck with little Russell Westbrook, who was his primary decision maker, dribbled the ball up the floor every time. He said, I cannot win a championship with that man as my primary decision maker. And I'm in year 10, so I'm going to go win me a ring. And he won 2.
He need to go win a ring with the trash man? Why would you go join the trash man? They go win a ring.
Okay, but he did rise above. He was clearly the best player on that team.
But Skip.
And he was necessary to them winning the next 2 championships.
But it's hard for me to say a guy that averages 27, 8, and 7 in 2 NBA finals is trash. I don't know where they do, who, and what measure is that trash?
Okay, this is the same guy who just a week ago, or was it? No, it was like 5 days ago, was on a podcast, and he's asked to name his top 5 teammates, and he goes 4, and then he gets to the last one, and it's just glaringly obvious, it's going to be Russ. It's going to be Russ.
Serge Ibaka.
And as Chris Broussard pointed out, it took 15 seconds of him. Serge Ibaka?
I mean, I just, like I said, look, he can feel how he feels.
That drove you crazy right there, right? Okay.
Because look, you don't got to pause. I mean, you know your best teammates. Hell, I played 14 years, had a couple of concussions. I can name my top 5 teammates off the top of my head. Let me see.
Listen, Shannon, he wants to be at war with any and everybody.
But guess what?
He loves it.
Skip.
He thrives on it.
Guess who he's at war with? Himself.
Okay, I got it. But
that's who he's at war with.
But that doesn't seem to undo him on the basketball court, right?
No, and not on the court, but Skip. When he's Skip, he tossing and turning at night.
Maybe
he don't like him.
You could be right. But he's still, to me, the best player on the planet. And if he's healthy, I'm not going to bet against him in the postseason this year.
I'm not betting against him either. But he has some. He need to. I mean, that's Steph. So let me ask you a question, Skip. You don't like that tweet. You play Steph Curry next year. How you run up and dap that man up and hug him up? How you go dap him up? Okay, how you gonna see Russ and talk about, hey, Russ, man, what's going on, Russ? Dog, what's up, boy? How you doing? How the family? How the kids? Get out my face.
Well, you remember their first meeting, was it like 3.5, 4 years ago now? Remember, like, Russ wanted to go to war. I wanted to fight him.
But Skip, just keep that energy. Don't pretend like we boys, we get on the court, we dab it up, get out my dog. Hey, good looking dog. No, keep that energy. I'm trash. Man, if I'm Steph Curry, bro, you can't doubt me.
Nope.
I ain't no sense in there. Let's keep it all the way 100. Okay. You can't doubt me. You stay in your play. We do this right here, Skip. We throw them heads up. That's all I got for you, not KD. Because you done revealed to me. You done revealed to me. Here I'm thinking somebody out there talking crazy about me. And now, hold on. What about all them other tweets that came out? That might have been him.
Hey, Kevin has said, I don't know you know what about basketball. He's taking shots at you. He's taking shots at LeBron James, that he's propped up by his media fanboys, right?
Skip.
Okay.
Envy a deadly sin? Jealousy? Skip, it's like cancer get inside and eat you up from within. You don't even know it. Man, that joker, like I said, if I'm Steph Curry, he can't speak to me, Skip. I'm all the way real with this.
I'm good with that. I got it.
Hey,
I think
all you
right.
do is get the head nod. You just...
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
And then let's see who wins the basketball game.
Hey, we're going to compete. I'm going to give it everything I got. You win, you win. But I can't fake it no more. I can't fake this because you already done told me how you really feel when you thought no one was around or no one would know. So you thought he had that burner, see, Skip. He forgot. He got so many things. He done called for the real phone. You know, you call somebody, you're trying to call somebody like, and you forgot to block your number, then you hang up real quick like, damn.
It feels like a lot to manage to have multiple accounts. Okay, in terms of KD and his health, guys, Steve Nash said he's currently day-to-day. He suffered that thigh contusion, so possibly we'll see him back on the court Friday or Sunday.
No mercy.
According to reports, Ohio State quarterback Justin Fields told NFL teams that he has been managing epilepsy throughout his football career. He was diagnosed as a youth and has taken medication for it, and his symptoms have become shorter and less frequent. It should be noted that Fields has not missed a game during his college career for any medical reason at all. So, Shannon, how concerned should NFL teams be about this?
I'm not concerned at all, Skip. He disclosed the information and he said, as long as I take my medication, I'm just fine. There are a lot of guys that probably play in the league and take medication to have issues, and they deal with those. So it's not something that I'm concerned about. And like I said, he said it's gotten shorter and shorter. It happens with less frequency as long as he takes his medication. Alan Faneca was an all-time great guard, is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and he had epilepsy. He took medication, and he performed just fine. So I have no doubt that Justin Fields will perform just fine. So for me, there are no red flags. There are nothing going on here that would concern me about Justin Fields' health. As long as he takes his medication, I believe that he will. He understands because this is a serious illness. But he'll take his medication. He'll be just fine. And like you said, he hadn't missed a game because of it.
Nope.
You know, Pop Warner, high school, college, he's been great. So I don't see this as a problem, Skip. I really don't.
Also, it was pointed out that other members of his family has suffered from it, but as they age, as they went through their 20s into their 30s, their symptoms started to wane. Okay. I'm with you on what you just said. For those watching who don't really understand what epilepsy is, just a very simple sort of definition of it, it's a neurological condition. It's abnormal electrical activity in the brain that can lead to sensory disturbances or loss of consciousness or convulsions or seizures.
Yeah.
And yet, to our knowledge, none of this has transpired in the football context for Justin Fields.
Right.
When I first read this very early this morning, when I first read the story, I thought it was satire. Seriously. This young man has been through so much. He has become the quote-unquote punching bag of this year's draft, right, of the quarterbacks.
And it seems like a story he wanted to get ahead of.
Yeah, but it almost seemed like a made-up story. Like somebody said, oh, it's gotten so bad for Justin Fields, let's make up a story, a tongue-in-cheek story about he's got epilepsy.
Right.
Well, he has had the condition.
Correct.
Okay. So I wouldn't love it if I were about to draft Justin Fields, that this condition, it wouldn't make me feel even better about drafting him, except for this. You want to talk about a tough kid? You want to talk about physically and mentally tough? Remember, he got his ribs cracked, and he just shrugged it off and kept on keeping on.
Correct.
And we've seen others try to play with cracked ribs in your league, and it ain't hard.
Easy. It's not easy.
You know. So no one has questioned his mental or physical toughness.
Correct.
And I think this could actually be a plus for him. I mean, you dread that he would have a seizure in the midst of some game. But the point is, he hasn't. And the point is, his family history would show you he should get nothing but better. And the point is that despite all of the discounting of Justin Fields, I'm going to say it again. I had this epiphany last night. To me, the Jets should take Justin Fields. That's how good he is. Like, he's better than Zach Wilson. We're going to do a whole topic on Zach Wilson a little bit. He's more trustable. He's more durable. He's a better athlete. He has a bigger arm. He's played bigger on bigger stages. If you just put the Clemson tape in, that's Brent Venables' defense. It's high-level defense, and that was a big-time football game. He destroyed them.
He did.
With 6 touchdown passes. And that came off his worst game, which was the Big Ten championship game against Northwestern, in which he just had a bad day. But did it impact him going forward into the Clemson game? Nope. Did not. So to me, I've said this from the start, Justin Fields is the guy that the Jets should be all over at number 2 because he's that guy. Now, Trey Lance is the X factor here. If you fall in love, and it's a tough one because you just have a very small body of work. I love what I see on YouTube, but it's a YouTube. I didn't watch all the game. Some people question his consistent accuracy. You can't question his athletic ability or his arm or his smarts or his toughness. Whew. He could be the diamond in this rough, man. He could be the star of the stars when all is said and done. We're also going to talk about Trevor Lawrence in a minute. Is he just, as Dabo has said, is he like Steph Curry where he's revolutionizing the ability to throw the football? We're not sold on that. We'll talk about that more in depth in just a moment. But Justin Fields shouldn't be discounted because he's big time. And to me, all of the above, it adds up to he should go to the Jets at the number 2 pick. And I told you from the start, I still couldn't get through my head why the Shanahans would trade all the way up to only number 3 because they can't control their fate. Unless, to your point, you say, well, they're so confident in themselves. They just say, okay, whichever way you go, we'll take the other one. We're going to be good. And we gave 2 next 2 years of first rounders to get there because we must, they have to know that they like 2 or 3 of them and they'd be happy with 2 or 3 of them. Well, okay, but the Jets should be happier with Justin Fields. That's my final analysis on this, is that they should take Justin Fields.
Skip, if this was something that he just found out, but it's something that he's been dealing with his whole career, and he's been dealing with it, and he's never had a problem with it. Terrell Davis had migraines, and once they gave him the proper medicine, he didn't have migraines.
But they impacted a Super Bowl he played in.
But that's because, Skip, he was dealing with migraines, and they didn't really know how to treat it. Well, that offseason, he went to the proper people, and he never had another problem with them. I'm sure there are players that take, be it for high blood pressure or for whatever the case may be. Skip, there are guys that have diabetes.
By the way, you won that Super Bowl.
We won that Super Bowl, yeah.
And as I recall, he's
the Super Bowl MVP.
He was pretty good,
yeah, he missed a quarter and ran for $157 and 3 touchdowns.
And that was against one Brett Favre.
Yeah.
Okay.
We did another one.
Okay.
So Skip, I'm not concerned. Because I know that I played with guys that had to take medicine for certain ailments, and they performed just fine and they know as long as I take my medicine, I'm going to be just fine. And so they want to be fine, so they take their medicine. I believe Justin Fields, and as you said, he says, my family, I have a history of this in my family. As we get older, the symptoms subside. Now, it is scary because I've seen someone that have this ailment, and I've seen them, have the seizures when I was in college. It is scary. Because you don't give you help. I mean, they're shaking uncontrollably, eyes roll back in the head, and you don't know what to do. But he says, as long as I take my medicine, I'm fine.
Okay. And you mentioned Fanakin. I believe Samari Rolle.
Samari Rolle, yeah. So Samari missed some time. And they had to change. I think they either changed his medicine or they strengthened his medicine. But once they gave him the proper medicine, Samari never had any more problems.
So how high would you take Justin Fields?
I mean, if I have him, with the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks, and I'm there, I'm taking him. But I believe, for me, because of the West Coast system, they've seen Matt Ryan, they've seen Kirk Cousins, and I believe Mac Jones is a combination of those two guys. They know exactly what they're going to get. I believe he has the best accuracy. I believe the ball comes out the quickest of his hands. Now, is he the most athletic? He might be the least athletic. But when you play in that position, Skip, that's the one position I don't really care about athleticism. I really don't. As long as you're not a statue. And I don't believe he's that.
What still troubles me about Mac Jones is he was flawless, and his supporting cast was by far the best. Mm-hmm. It's just a little disturbing to me. It was the issue I had with Tua. Different player, very different mold. And yet I can't find one nit to pick with Mac Jones because there were none.
Right.
There were none.
Right.
He played 3 games the year before and all those games last year.
But Skip, the problem that I have with that is that nobody picked apart Joe Burrow. He played with Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase.
Same. Agreed.
I mean, one guy had 20 touchdowns and was the Biletnikoff Award winner 2 years ago, and the other guy could have been Rookie of the Year this year, Justin Jefferson. Had 1,400 receiving yards.
Okay, but what did you see in the few games he did play for Cincinnati before he got hurt?
He looked good.
Yeah. He looked like the real deal.
Yes. Mac Jones in that offense, he'll look real good.
Oh, so you're the consensus is that the Shanahans are sitting on Mac Jones.
I believe
at
they
number
are.
3.
Mm-hmm.
And your consensus is that's correct.
Yeah.
That's the right way to go.
I would take Mac Jones and wouldn't even think twice. I like Mac Jones, Skip. I'm telling you, the ball, the accuracy. For me, I want to know how quick does he process information? How quick does the ball come out of his hand? And is it accurate? Skip, I don't want to know 40 times. Oh, he ran 4-1. I don't care. Oh, he benched 700 pounds. I don't care. He can squat. He can jump over the moon. I don't care. Can he do those 3 things? Because that's what Tom Brady can do better than anybody else.
That's true.
He can't run fast, he can't jump high, and he can only bench the football. But he can throw it. He can process information instantaneous. The ball comes out quick, and it's accurate.
Yep.
That's what you look for in a quarterback. You'll gladly accept those. Those are the first 3 things. 1, 2, 3. Now, 4, 5, 6, okay, yeah, if he can run fast, okay, fine, that's fine. If he can, got the 35-inch vertical, that's fine. But I need those first 3. And then I'll take anything else to come with that. I don't want those others to be 1, 2, 3, and then there's accuracy, and then processing information, and then getting the ball out quickly to come 4, 5, 6. Okay. I don't want that.
Okay, just remember, from this point on in his football life, Mac Jones will never be surrounded by the kind of supporting cast he had at Alabama. Never again.
And I don't believe he'll have an offensive mind like he's about to have.
Okay, well, that's fair.
I like Sark.
Sarkisian's pretty good.
I like Sark.
He's pretty good.
But on a different level, Skip.
Okay, I got it. And his dad's at a different level because you played for his dad.
I did play for his dad.
And I think his dad still has huge input into the game plan, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's still there.
Okay, I got that. You could also argue if they took Justin Fields, he'd be just as good. They'd figure it out.
Yeah, they'll figure it out.
Okay, because I saw what they did with RG3.
Yes.
You got to do RPOs. You got to do a little different attack mode.
Yes.
But you could do, I promise you, they would get the best out of Justin Fields.
No mercy. After learning more details about the Ma'Khia Bryant shooting in Columbus, Ohio, LeBron apologized yesterday after posting a photo of the officer involved with the caption that read, quote, "You're next." According to reports and body cam footage that was released, Bryant was charging another woman with a knife before the fatal shooting. LeBron's apology read, quote, "Anger does none of us any good, and that includes myself. Gathering all the facts and educating does, though. My anger still is here for what happened to that little girl. My sympathy for her family, and may justice prevail." So, Shannon, how much do you fault LeBron for his initial tweet here?
Well, I mean, it was premature. He put it out prematurely without getting all the facts, and I understand there's a heightened sense of blacks, unarmed black, but this situation doesn't seem like she was unarmed, being killed, and that was the initial report. And so now the body cam footage comes out, you see what the officer sees, and you see it through a different prism. And like I said, and, he put the picture up there, and I don't think LeBron was saying there's a bounty on this officer's head. I just believe it's like, okay, accountability. You about to face the same accountability that Derek Chauvin faced. He's going to have to go to court. He's going to be in front of men of his peers, a jury of his peers, men and women, and you're going to have to answer for this. And so because he put it out prematurely, he did the right thing, took it down. He explained after gathering the facts. And that's what LeBron normally does. LeBron is very methodical. He's very, he doesn't rush. And if he doesn't know something, he won't normally respond to it. He's like, let me gather the facts and I'll get back to you on it. But he's a little premature. And we can understand why, given what's transpiring in the country as we speak. So he was wrong. He was right to take it down. I'm glad he took it down. He explained why he put it up. He explained why he took it down. So, but he left a lot by placing that to the interpretation. And a lot of times some things get lost in interpretation. And so I'm glad he did that and he accepted responsibility and he took it down.
Okay. For once on social media, LeBron leaped before he looked closely. Mm-hmm. And I did appreciate his next tweet because it did show me that I think he's typing and tweeting for himself because he was typing so fast. It didn't come out exactly like he wanted to. He said, anger, the original tweet is, anger does any of us any good. It meant to say, does none of us, or however you want to say it.
Doesn't do any of us any good.
Doesn't do any of us any good. And that includes myself. He went on to type. Gathering all the facts and educating does, though. Great. My anger still is here for what happened to that little girl.
Correct.
I co-signed there. I mean, I'm all in on that. I get that. My sympathy for a family, and may justice prevail. Okay, we got it. So I'm not going to condemn LeBron for that first tweet. I'm not even going to criticize him. Emotions were running hot and high. And it was that flashpoint moment in which it's understandable that you would overreact. Obviously, he has such great power on both social platforms. 49.6 million on Twitter. 82.5 million on IG. You'd like to have a couple of those, right?
Yeah. I can do a lot of things with LeBron. Say your boy something now.
That's a lot of power.
It is.
Obviously, the more it grows, the more his responsibility must grow along with it.
Yes.
We get it. But then he tweeted again, I'm so damn tired of seeing black people killed by police. That's why this is all so understandable. I took the tweet down because it's being used to create more hate. Partially, but it just had to come down because you just...
It was wrong.
It was just wrong. You just went a little too quick to it. And again, I mentioned earlier, I was watching post-game interviews with both Chris Paul and Bam, and both expressed outrage over this shooting. And I'm not sure they got it yet either, the exact circumstance. And as we've talked about again and again, there have been so many of these cases, and every one of them it's got a little different circumstance to it. Some of them are just blatant murder. See Derek Chauvin, George Floyd. And this one, again, to walk back through it, because we can see the body cam video. This is a 16-year-old who reportedly called 911 because she thought she was in danger. She lives in a foster home, and some of the older women there had taken issue with her, and she felt threatened. So she calls, and somehow this spills out onto a driveway. So a white officer pulls up on the fly, leaps out of his car, and it is chaos. And to his right, he sees one woman fall, get pushed down, and the 16-year-old is brandishing a knife above her, but she sort of trips backwards and falls. And then here comes a man into the body cam video, and he's kicking the woman who has fallen down while she is down. Whoa. And he yells, "What's going on?" And he can't figure it out. And he runs another couple of steps, and then he sees the 16-year-old.
She wheels,
and she's got another woman pinned up against the car, and she raises the knife to stab. I'm just glad I wasn't in that moment, because what a decision you have to make. I don't understand why he had to fire 4 times. There was a part of me last night, I thought, could he have shot to wound her? Well, obviously, you can't.
They shoot center mass. They shoot into,
Okay, because she is threatening to stab or maybe kill the other woman. And if you don't react immediately to that, you're also on the hook for that one. Because if she does stab her in the heart or whatever, then it's your fault also. Right?
Yes.
So what do you do? If Shannon Sharpe's in those shoes at that point, what do you do?
I don't know. I don't know how he responds any differently. Because, Skip, he doesn't know she's the one. It's reported that she was the one that called the police.
Right.
All he knows is that when he pulls up on the scene, he hasn't been here before. He doesn't know anybody. So he's trying to gather as much information as he possibly can on the fly. What's going on? What's going on? I see somebody with a knife. Okay, that's going on.
And
okay,
he
now
did yell, get down a couple times before he fired.
Yes, and it seemed to me at that point in time, she's in so much rage, she didn't hear a thing. She didn't hear a thing.
And it's fear-based rage.
Yeah. And so she felt threatened for her life. But at that moment, now, Skip, it goes to protect and serve really what he's there to do, to protect and serve. Now he has to protect those other young ladies or women, or I don't know how old they were. It's his job to protect them now. So it's a very, very tough situation. I don't envy that situation. A lot of these are split-second decisions that you got to make. But I'm looking at it, Skip. I just don't want to make sure we don't put every single case, every time a police involved shooting, that everything goes in the same box. Yeah. Because I think they're different. The Daunte Wright situation, the George Floyd situation, I believe that's a very, very different situation than what we just saw play out 2 days ago. 2 days ago.
So I try to think, why does it always have to be lethal force, deadly force?
Right.
Is there a chance he could have tased from the distance he was at and stopped her from stabbing? Probably not.
I don't know from that distance if the taser would have reached that far, Skip. But at that point in time, it's not necessarily, you don't absolutely have to be in fear for your life. Are you in fear for someone else? Is someone else in danger?
Yep.
You also have to take that into account. So it would, Skip, it's not as cut and dry as a lot of people, including LeBron, was led to believe, because they said basically he just rolled up 22 seconds after the fact and she's dead. It didn't mention anything that she had a knife. Didn't mention anything that she was looked like she was charging a war someone else. So you take that at face value. Now they released the video, and it's a lot different of a picture, because without the video, Skip, you're going to take the eyewitness words. I'm not taking the police word for anything else moving forward, because after I saw that report that they had written for George Floyd, no, I ain't taking that word for nothing.
Nope. And yet, keeping perspective, I did this yesterday, I'm going to do it again. I want to thank LeBron James for all that he's done campaigning for racial justice, using these huge platforms that he has created to the good.
Right.
Because I believe much of his campaigning had, and it all went back to obviously Colin Kaepernick, but between Colin Kaepernick and LeBron James, they had impact on the psyches of those jurors who did the right thing and found guilty on all three counts on Chauvin.
Yeah, I'm glad.
I appreciate it, and I don't want this to have any kind of chilling effect. You just obviously, there are times you have to wait a beat. Just wait a beat until you find out, okay. Oh, so that was what was happening.
Yeah, and everybody has to do that. I mean, news organizations, sometimes it's Skip, and that's what social media has done, is because you sometimes you become in a rush to be first instead of being right and being thorough. And you written on deadlines. You up against this. Hey, man, y'all need to hit this so I got a deadline to make.
What do they call it? Literature under pressure. That's what Hemingway called newspaper work, right?
So, and I get it. But I'm glad LeBron took the tweet down. I'm glad he tried to explain himself, what he was thinking, why he put the tweet up. But he also said, I didn't have all the facts, and I'm glad.
No mercy. Steph Curry's 30-point streak, it's come to an end. Steph had only 18 points and went 2 of 14 from beyond the arc last night in a 118-114 loss to the Wizards. His plus-minus was also by far the worst of the night at -23. And yesterday, in a preview of an interview with Rex Chapman, when asked if he is the MVP this season, Curry responded, quote, I gotta be. So, Shannon, how much did he hurt his case for MVP last night?
Well, Skip, he was in the MVP conversation, but I think in order to really, really have an MVP case, Skip, he was really going to have to stay on this historic run that he's on, and the Warriors was going to have to move from the 9th spot somewhere maybe around 5 or 6 for him to really, really be in the MVP discussion. I just don't think we can have that discussion with a guy that's in the 9th spot. I just don't think, he's playing unbelievable. I won't discount that. But to have a serious discussion, when Kobe went on that great stretch, when he had the 62 by 3 quarters and 81, Skip, he finished in the 7th spot. He was 4th. Steph is in the 9th spot. And you talk about actually winning the MVP? So for me, I just didn't see it. Look, and Yoke, since Jamal Murray's been out, Skip, he's 4-0. And Joel Embiid has lost some ground because they haven't won since Ben Simmons has been out.
But it wasn't his fault last night.
No, he almost made a circus. He almost made a circus.
We'll talk about that in a few minutes, but he went 38 and 17 and made 2 threes.
But Yoke is not losing.
Nope.
And he's still putting up phenomenal numbers without Jamal Murray. So I just think, Skip, in order for us to have a serious discussion about Steph Curry and the MVP, they're going to have to probably win. They got, 13, 14 games? They were going to probably have to go, 10-2, 11-2, and somehow get to the 5th or 6th seed, but he was going to have to stay on this historic run. But, yeah, MVP discussion, but to be like 1 through 4, I don't think we can have that discussion with him in the 9th spot.
Okay, so I thought last night going into that game at Washington, Steph was on the edge of the MVP conversation, just on the edge. Needed to win 2, 3, 4 more, start to creep up into the standings, maybe take a run at a Portland's without Dame right now, struggling.
Dame came back last night.
Yeah, but they've been struggling. Now they've lost at home, at least 2 in a row that I know of. So the point is that he had a shot last night, and he shot himself in the foot. And I tried to point out to everybody that before April, if you look back at his year before April, he was on a path to shoot his career worst from the three-point line, and then he went bonkers. He got the hottest we've ever seen any man in the history of this league from distance.
Yes.
And it went on for, you could argue, 10 games, but especially for 6 games. Never seen anything like it.
Right.
But before that, if you go back and look at his game logs of all the games he'd played in the previous months this season, he'd had so many.
Well, there was a lot of games like what we had last night.
Like that.
Yes.
So last night, he comes up empty. He shoots 2 of 14 from 3. 2 of 14. Well, nobody has a green enough light to get to 2 and 14, 2 out of 14, because most coaches would just say, stop it.
Right.
It's not your night. Give it up.
Nope.
Let somebody else shoot it. So I did watch this game from start to finish. And Washington, by the way, has quietly won 6 straight and 8 out of 9.
Right.
Why is that? Well, their 2 stars didn't shoot the ball very well last night either. But what is that team doing as a team? It is starting to defend at a high level.
Right.
So they were the first team in this hot stretch that just came out last night and said, you know what? No, not in our house. And they didn't just double. It wasn't like they were just jumping on him. They caught him at half court with 2 who were all out committed to, you can't even shoot it. We're not even going to let you get a shot off unless it's a forced shot.
You know, because he's the last guy you want to get a rhythm early, Skip. Because remember that night he passed Wilt? He's like, yeah, the first 3 went in. I was like, yeah, I'm not really passing anybody from moving forward.
Okay.
And so that's, but Skip, in order for, think about it, they're winning these games. He was scoring 40 and hitting 10 threes. What was the likelihood he was going to continue that?
Okay, but those teams were just playing him pretty much straight up.
Yeah, you can't. Not he was on this streak.
No. So finally, somebody said, no, not this. We're not going to allow this.
Right.
If the others all beat us, let Kelly Oubre come off the bench and score 40.
Yeah, he wanted to go. Yeah, he wanted to score. Yeah, he could. Yeah.
Okay, and Kelly Oubre had a big game last night.
He did.
So then what happened down the stretch? You realize Golden State was in complete command of this game. Complete command.
Skip, they went up by 11 points. They called, Steph was on the bench. Get this normal rest. He normally take about 6 minutes in this 4th quarter.
Yep.
They were up 11.
Yep.
Skip, I turned, and I said, well, they got this one in the bag. Skip, I turned back, and I'm like, hold on. How y'all down? What happened? But, Skip, you going to tell me Russ going to get 14, 20, and 10, and Bradley Beal going to start to... And then down the stretch.
By the way, Russell Westbrook had 20 rebounds.
Yeah.
20 rebounds?
So you just...
For 6'3"?
Yeah.
Really?
And then Bradley Beal started catching fire, and then they executed great down the stretch.
Okay. And yet, Steve Kerr said after the game, we ran out of gas. Steph ran out of gas, but our team ran out of gas. They're on an extended road trip. I think that was the end of it. But it was a 5-gamer through the East, and we just hit the wall, said Steve Kerr.
Skip, they missed a shot the other night. Draymond missed a layup that would have tied the game in Boston. Andrew Wiggins missed a layup that would have tied the game last night.
Okay. Yet, Steph rested for most of the fourth quarter, for a big part.
Yeah,
big
almost 6 minutes.
So he comes in at 6:17. They're up 104-93.
Yeah.
So he's coming in, a guy who's about to join the MVP race, with an 11-point lead. Well, don't you have to close that deal?
That's why I turned it. I said it's over. I said if Steph don't come back in.
So from that point to the finish of the game, he took 4 more 3-point shots. If we could see those 3-point shots, he made none of them. There's the first one. Not a bad shot. Didn't make it. Here's the second one. He missed everything. It was nothing but backboard. Steph. And here's the third one. All the way around the horn. You know how he'll run for those shots. Yep. And he was a little wide right. And here's the fourth one. Not a bad look. Not a bad look. And he hit nothing but backboard. So 2 out of the 4 were what I would call air balls. I know they hit something, but they hit no rim, right? That's Steph Curry, the guy who revolutionized the game. And here's what happened in those shots. When he took the first one that we saw, they were up 2. And then they were up 2, and then they were up. I'm sorry, I'm doing the layups. Sorry, I'm gonna start over. They were up 8, they were up 1, they were down 2 and down 2. My point is, all 4 of those shots were significant shots. The first 2 could have just put the game away.
That's what he's trying to do, Skip. He's trying to deal him a death blow. He was trying to deal him a death blow. And any one of those threes, you're absolutely right. If any one of those threes go in, I think it takes the life from the Wizards. But because they did, then guess what? He missed. They go down there and get a shot. They go down and got a 3.
So at the end of the game, in the last minute of the game, he twice just said, I'm not going to shoot it out here anymore. I'll just drive it. And we know he's got a handle and ability to get to the rim. And he drove it and made 2 nice layups that cut it to 2 and cut it again to 2. But it was too little too late. And Russ and company and Bradley Beal just took over.
But Skip, they get a steal from Russ at half court. Andrew Wiggins got a layup to tie the game. Skip, he blows a layup.
I got it.
Now, we might be having a different discussion to go into overtime because Russ at that point had played 40 minutes. I just like, man, they about to go to overtime. And ball round the rim. But you know Yoke about to sew this up, right, Skip?
By the way, speaking of Russ, this is not a classic Russ game. He shoots 5 of 17 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3. He scores only 14 points. He gets 20 rebounds and 10 assists and has a triple-double that's sort of an old Jason Kidd-style triple-double, where the points are very low.
But 20 rebounds?
20 is impossibly great.
Oh,
so
look,
that's
20 rebounds.
That's all guts, all effort.
Yeah, I mean, look, we see big guys. I mean, Clint Capella seemed like he got a 20-10, and Rudy Gobert get 20 rebounds. But Skip, we hadn't seen a whole lot of 6'3" guys get 20 rebounds in a game, and he's had these on several occasions.
Yep. So you still got him in your top 15, or you want to make? How about 16? Maybe 16. He dropped to 16 on Shannon Sharp's all-time list. No.
Top. I tell you what, he won another title, MVP. He gonna be top 10 for me.
Well, I don't care what he's doing during the regular season because I care about the post.
Well, then don't you mention Paul George? You better not mention Paul. I better hear you hear Paul George or 13.
Whoever put Paul George in Steph Curry's same sentence.
You were the one that hyped him up. Did you see PG? Did you see what PG did? Okay, don't mention nothing about PG.
He's actually played better this regular season than Steph Curry has. But that doesn't matter.
I don't care.
I agree. It does not matter.
Okay, then.
He's got to be playoff P, not pandemic P.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, then. So now don't mention nothing about those. Did you see those Clippers, Jenny? Did you see the Clippers?
Did you see what the Clippers did last night?
There you go.
They don't have Kawhi or Paul George or Ibaka or Rondo or Reggie Jackson. They don't have anybody, and they get down 18 to Memphis, and they just say, no, we're not going to lose.
But
they're incredibly deep.
We haven't talked about them yet, so I think that's saying something. That is saying something. We're moving on.
No mercy.
The Jets are rumored to be taking BYU quarterback Zach Wilson with the 2nd overall pick in next week's NFL draft. And one anonymous QB coach compared him to Patrick Mahomes coming out of college. The coach said, quote, people think now about Mahomes as a Super Bowl winning quarterback and how great he is now. But coming out of Texas Tech, he was not this surefire guy. He was uber talented arm-wise, and he does a lot of stuff that is really sexy now, but he threw a lot of bad picks, and his decision-making is really inconsistent. So, Shannon, will Zach Wilson be the next Patrick Mahomes, in your opinion?
There's a big difference between playing quarterback in Kansas City and playing quarterback in New York.
That's a good point.
There's a big difference between being brought in, get an opportunity to sit behind Alex Smith, and not being the savior right out of college. I don't believe this kid is going to sit. He's going to go there. He's the savior. He's going to play. Okay, a couple of those razzle-dazzle plays that you got away with in college, all of a sudden they don't go your way. What you think those Jets fans going to do? Boo! So you can't compare those situations. The Aaron Rodgers that we see, he got an opportunity to sit for 3 years. He didn't go right into Green Bay and say, okay, Aaron, this is your team. We got to go. He got an opportunity to sit. Even Tom Brady got a year to sit. A year in what 2 games, a year and 3 games to sit. So this is a totally different set of circumstances that he's going to be playing under as opposed to Patrick Mahomes. And I think that, Skip, you can't overlook that. New York is a different beast, is a different animal. And you need to have success early or things are going to go, it's not going to be good. And I don't know if he has the type of makeup like an Eli. Because Eli, like, man, I'm on the beach somewhere. Y'all booing, I don't even hear y'all talking. But he still, even Eli, got an opportunity to sit for 8 or 9 games.
He did.
Kurt Warner was the starter.
He was.
This kid's going to probably be day 1 starter. And the Jets is a different organization. Let's not pretend the Jets are the Giants, okay? Let's not pretend the Jets are run like Kansas City, okay? They're a mess. M-E-S-S. Mess, mess, mess. That's what the Jets are. So it's a totally different situation, Skip.
So the conclusion of the anonymous quotes that Jenny was reading is, if I had to bet money, I'd bet it doesn't work out for him, Zach Wilson, with the Jets. I concur. I would bet it would not work out for Zach Wilson. He's not the biggest guy. He got hurt and needed surgery twice at BYU. He's a daredevil. If you're too much of a daredevil at your level of pro football, it just won't last very long because he's not 6'4", 235 or 40. Even Trey Lance has got a little Roethlisberger in it. He's so big and strong, he can just shrug off pass rushers. This kid can't shrug them off. He's got to make them miss. And if they, again, I haven't watched a lot of him, but according to all the reports, a lot of times they don't miss on this kid. They just hit him because he will try things that make you say, why would you even think about that? So back to the Patrick Mahomes comparison. I watched a ton of Patrick Mahomes at Texas Tech, and I've told you from the start, he would wow me, and then I would say, what are you doing? What are you thinking? It would be chaos. He would try things he shouldn't even think about. And I chalked it up to the Texas Tech offense that you talked about. It's just what they do. They just throw it all over the lot. And sometimes it looks great, and sometimes it just doesn't look great. And one of these quotes was, the good with Zach Wilson is really good, but the bad can be really, really bad. Well, that's pretty close to Patrick Mahomes, except there was so much good to Patrick Mahomes, because I look back at the numbers. He threw 93 touchdown passes to 29 interceptions in 3 years of starting. That's pretty good. The 29 is high, but the 93 is off the charts high. The QBRs were just okay because he was throwing too many picks. But the last year that he started, the one that caught Andy Reid's eye, he was 41 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. And he scored 12 times running the football because he can run with it, as we know. And yet I fixated on, I obviously watched the Oklahoma-Texas Tech games every year that they played. And the 2015 game was in Norman, and he just stunk, man. He was 1 touchdown to 4 picks. And that was the day that in my head I wrote him off. Well, was that fair to him? I could see the arm talent because he's phenomenally gifted with his arm. He was a big league shortstop potential who decided to play football.
Skip, the question is that when you see these guys in these offenses, Are they going to run similar offenses in the NFL? Are they going to run similar offense to what this kid had in BYU, or are you going to put him more conventional? If you look at Andy allows Patrick Mahomes to do a lot of what he did in college.
That's true.
It's a lot of bombs away.
Yeah.
And so are you going to let Zach Wilson do some of the things, a lot of the things that he had success with? Because if you try to make him too conventional, and I think that's why we're seeing a lot of guys have success, Skip.
Yeah.
We'll see a lot of guys are running basically college-style offenses where we would get these guys, you would be in awe. Man, he threw 40 touchdowns, he threw 5 interceptions, and then it's all of a sudden you put him up under center, you hand the ball off, and you play fake. They're like, nah.
Yep.
And it's like, no, we're going to open it up, we're going to let you throw it. We trust your decision-making. But Patrick Mahomes had an entire year to sit, to observe, to watch, to study, to see how it's done at the professional ranks. I don't know if Zach Wilson's going to get that opportunity to do that, Skip.
I don't either.
Aaron Rodgers got 3 years.
What has impressed me the most about Patrick Mahomes is he's a big kid.
Yeah.
He's bigger than you think, and he's much bigger bone structure, just physique.
Yeah.
He's bigger than this kid. Maybe this kid will mature physically.
Skip, and I know everybody said, well, they just threw Peyton Manning out there. But, you know, Peyton Manning had Marshall Faulk and Marvin Harrison, and I don't know if anybody knows, they were first ballot Hall of Famers. Now, are they any first ballot Hall of Famers on the Jets currently? Hell, I don't even know if there are any Pro Bowlers on the Jets currently. So
they're not.
So, I mean, Peyton did have something to work with. What does this kid have to work with? And you're asking an awful lot. Peyton Manning was basically a four-year starter. He ate Peyton Manning was watching film. He was obsessed in college like he wasn't in the NFL. Yeah. So I don't know, Skip. I wish the kid all the best, but the Jets is not the greatest run. I wish Robert Saleh, I believe they have the right coach in place, but this kid got his work cut out for him. That's not an easy place to win.
That's why I told you earlier, if I'm the Jets, I'm taking Justin Fields because he's mentally and physically tougher. He's more of a baller, more of a gamer. He'll be able to withstand the media pressure and the losing that's going to be inevitable if you throw him into the fire right away.
Because it's not like Buffalo and Miami and New England. New England's going to be better. The Dolphins, I believe, will be better. Buffalo got a taste in their mind for getting to the AFC Championship game. So it ain't like I don't know, Skip, about this one.
You know what I do know, though? The media in New York, it is different. It is different. It's a different level of pressure, and they take pride in that, too, Skip. A tough skin to survive there. It's a challenge. It's a challenge mentally and physically. No mercy. Well, guys, Joel Embiid and the 76ers, they fell to the Suns by 3 points at home, but not before the center gave Philly fans a split second of hope before overtime. With under a second left, Embiid was able to rebound the ball and sling a full-court toss that went off the backboard, just barely rimmed out. So, Shannon, how impressive was this near make?
That was very impressive. But because he's throwing it for so far and is going with traveling at such a high rate of speed, he would have had to swish it. Because, Skip, you see what happened. I mean, that was not the Suggs play against Gonzaga. That's a lot closer. That's so much force. And for him to just all in one motion, catch it with one hand and throw it.
He threw it from his ear, like he didn't even draw his arm back. He just threw it right from his ear. The strength, the natural strength required to throw it that far on line.
Yes.
And again, it would have been the shot of the year. It would have forced overtime, obviously. But it would have been a little lucky because it backboarded.
Right.
But the skill required to hit that spot from that far, it just took my breath away. I didn't see it coming.
Almost like the Gordon Hayward shot that he almost hit against Duke in the national championship game. But like you said, Skip, this is one motion. He catches it, like you said, from his ear, one hand, and throws a dot. He throws a dot. Oh, look at this.
He might have just won MVP right there. If that goes that's over.
It's over, because that's all we're going to remember. Yeah, it's over. He didn't win it. That'd have been it.
So he goes 38-17 and led the team with 4 assists, which said a lot about the team. But still, they lost because Devin Booker said no.
Yeah. Chris Paul said no. But that was unbelievable. He'd have won the MVP. If he did that shot, Skip,
that would have been it? That would have sealed it?
Yeah.
I just it was so close. If only. All right, guys, great stuff today. We're back same time tomorrow morning. The Herd is on now. Have a great day.